welcome to another episode of Striker Chat. I've got a special guest for you today. I have the WBC Welterweight?
Yeah.
Welterweight Champion of the world, Max McVicker. We're only just up the road here from Rajadamnern Stadium.
Rajadamnern, yeah.
Rajadamnern Stadium. We're at Nanda Hotel? Or?
Yeah, Nanda Heritage, I think.
Nanda Heritage Hotel. Let's just get straight into it, brother. I mean, your Muay Thai journey, a quick one. I mean, you started Muay Thai at a young age, obviously, under your dad, Dave.
So originally we're from Manchester in England.
Aye.
I started when I was 5 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah, basically, my dad used to train and fight, and then after he finished his career, he started helping out at the gym as well.
Yeah.
And I used to want to go with him, and he said, like, not until your 5th birthday, and so I had to wait until I was 5, and then the moment I turned 5, I was allowed to go to training, and I actually haven't stopped ever since.
How old are you now, mate?
22.
22, so that's fucking 18 years. Hold on, 18?
Yeah, I think
18
so.
years, 18 years. The Thais, they start at that young age as well, 5 years old. I think that's. Do you think that's imperative for a person to actually do well in the world? Do you think it's imperative that they start at that young?
Imperative. I think it's helpful.
Helpful to start at that young.
Yeah,
age?
and I think to fight as a certain stylist, yeah, for sure. If you're going to be like the more typical foreigner and do like more damage and focus more on being fitter and stronger, you can build that later on. But I think like it certainly helps with the skill foundation to start a lot earlier. I moved to Australia when I was like 10, 11 years old.
Okay, yeah. So a veteran of 5 years already under the belt.
Yeah, so I'd already done lots of amateur fights in that time as well.
How many, like, I was just listening to Joe Comerford's podcast the other day, and he was talking about you 50 or 60 amateur fights under the belt before?
Before I'd moved to Australia, probably about 40, I suppose,
Jeez.
something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's a lot of fights, mate.
I got to Australia when I was like 10 or 11, and at the time my dad didn't really have any intentions of opening a gym.
Yeah.
They just took me to the local gym, and one of the manager of that gym basically said, we don't have much space for him, we don't have any kids that fight. And so my dad sort of put me in with their adult fight team. Yeah. And then after some time, that fight team ended up breaking off, and my dad took over that fight team.
Yeah.
And then eventually he had a good group of people that were fighting under him, and he branched out to his own thing. And that's how he built his gym from there. Yeah. So we then went out on our own, and I started competing like at things like the IFMA events and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I would go from like IFMA and like padded fights in Perth, and then I would fly over to Thailand and fight professionally there. So
how old would you think?
I think my first pro fight was when I was 15.
Oh wow.
And then, but like just short stints over there, and I would fight and then come back, fight and then come back, and that sort of thing, until eventually like I was fighting over there, professionally fighting here against like professional juniors that they would fly over. So I'd fight like good Thai boys who they'd fly out, but we'd have to fight in pads.
Yeah.
And then there was like I had a fight in Queensland that was like out of pads, and I'd just sort of try and get as many fights as possible. And then
so you travelled. So the fights you couldn't fight fights. You travelled to get.
Yeah. We'd often have to fight in different places. We'd just like sort of figure it out as we went, whether it be Queensland or it was the championships or IFMAs, or it was over in Thailand at a certain gym or at a stadium or something like that. We would do kind of just whatever we could get. And then when I came back from Thailand, I turned 18. And I fought for the WBC state title against...
West Australian state title?
Yeah, against Stephen Kirk as my first professional fight in Australia, in Perth.
In Perth.
It was like my adult debut, but obviously not my pro debut.
No,
My
how old were you then? It's 18.
In my Perth pro debut.
Yeah.
It was the month after I turned 18, not even.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because we were waiting for me to be able to fight pro in Perth.
That's right. The Perth regulations or the commission, you have to be 18 to fight professionally.
Yeah. We did apply for an exemption and they rejected it.
Obviously, you ended up winning that belt under Dave.
Yeah.
And then after that, what was any other accolades, any other titles?
So the fight after that, I fought Zach Einerson for the WBC national lightweight title. So it's 61. and won that one as well.
Levels.
And then from there, had like a few other fights.
Title, national title, international title, and now you are the reigning WBC the welterweight champion. My friend Alex Roberts, he was the WBC heavyweight champion, and obviously fought on one, got knocked out, lost his bout. What's the situation with you and then your bout and you fighting another organisation?
Because I'm in the tournament, I'm technically booked for like 5 fights, but I'm only contracted to fight like within this tournament period as well. So an RWS would never stop me from fighting outside if I wasn't in the tournament. They don't have like a sort of it's not the same way one works, basically. They're not like gonna stop me from being able to fight on other promotions and things like that. So
it's a little bit different.
A little, like you could say a little bit different, but it's really different. You know, like we can sort of still fight on other promotions, whereas on one it's not really an option. So I've got like these next 5 fights are pretty much booked in as long as I make the semi-final and the final. But outside of that, I'm able to. That's good.
So you are still the reigning world champion.
Yeah. So the only other thing about that is like I have like technically have a 6-month period where I have to defend the belt.
Yeah.
If I don't defend that belt in that time, they can relinquish the belt as well. But
have you defended the belt yet?
I haven't defended it yet. No. However, the previous champion was Sajjad, who's in the tournament.
That's right. Yeah.
The previous super welterweight champion is Tanan Chai. He's in the tournament, and the previous super welterweight before him was Yodricha, I believe, who's in the tournament at welterweight as well. So it's kind of like if you're not in the RWS tournament, you didn't really deserve to be fighting for the WBC world title anyway. So if somebody else picks that belt up, I dare say somebody in the tournament will come along and fight them at the end anyway.
So this is we'll digress later, but this tournament now, the tournament that you're in right now, this is the best of the best, isn't it? These are the fucking top of the food chain killers of welterweight Muay Thai.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some that are in and around the stadiums that compete with the same level. But as far as westernized Muay Thai goes, this is the best in the world.
This is, I mean, stadium, I've always known that, like, these stadium belts are held more prestigious, isn't it, with Nakmoys?
Yeah, so the difference now, like, the Rajadamnern Stadium title isn't what's up for grabs for us at the moment. It's the RWS tournament belt. However, the way that Rajadamnern is scored when it's not RWS is completely different to what RWS scores. RWS scores the same way the WBC scores, round by round. And stadiums score based off like their own criteria, which is like heavily affected by the gambling and things like that. So the way that we will fight in RWS is completely different to how we would fight if we were fighting for a stadium title.
Still going to be entertaining though, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
You're now at Muay U with Kieran. Kieran? Kieran. What was that? Why that move? That's a massive move. You moved from Perth to Canberra.
Yeah. At the time, I was in a position, and my dad and I had spoken about it a fair bit, where I didn't really have much like opportunity to train with people
in Perth.
And sort of like getting to a point where I needed to train twice a day, and my dad still works full time as well. So I needed people readily available to take care of like a full-time fighter pretty much. And my dad just wasn't in a position to do that. Like, he just can't with his job. So I briefly went to Legends.
Like Daniel Dawson?
And then spent a little bit of time there just in between, and then I headed up to Muay U and after I fought Singh Payak and checked it out, and then Kieran offered me a full-time job and the opportunity to train at the gym as well.
What's the connection there? What's the affiliation with Kieran? How do you know him? Just through?
So I think at the time, I think I had watched like a podcast that he'd done with Josh Tonner. And we'd had a chat about it, and then we just kept chatting, and then he happened to have a job available, and he said like, look, I'll fly you out to Canberra, after you've fought if you want.
What fight? That was after
the Singh fight. So the next morning I flew out and just like hung out for the week pretty much, checked it all out, and then after that week I went back, got all my stuff, headed back over.
Went straight back. And you love Canberra?
Yeah, apart from the cold.
It is pretty cold out there. You end up falling in love in Canberra as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
3 Lions, state title, national title. With Muay U, with Kieran, you've picked up 2 more belts. You picked up the international belt, which gave you to contend for the world championship.
Yeah.
And you got the world championship now. So man, that's fantastic. What did that do to you to win these belts? And was it something that you wanted at a young age?
Yeah, I mean, it was always like when you're a kid. When I was a kid, I always wanted.
Still
to
are a kid, son. Still are.
I always back then your dreams are pretty like foggy. You just want to be a world champion or the best. You want to be the best in the world or whatever. So it started out like that. Of course, I was always wanting to be a world champion and that sort of thing. And then IFMA came along and that was like amateur world titles.
How did you go in IFMA?
I've got gold and bronze. So those are the 2 times I went.
Well, you have a look at most of the people that are world champions these days. They've competed in IFMAs. And
it's a good stepping stone.
It is a good stepping stone. Would you recommend something like that?
For amateurs and juniors? For sure. Yeah.
For the Westerners, I mean, that's just building blocks and just getting that experience as well.
Yeah. I think when you're coming up through the ranks, like before you reach like an A class, I think it's a good idea to like
and then
give it a go.
You're pitting your skills against around different styles from around the world as well.
Yeah. It's good to help you sort of understand and adapt to different styles. That's what's helpful about it, I think.
Yeah. So once again we digress. Sorry, they really, I mean. Pinky and I call it sexy, sexy style, but it's more of a Muay Femur IQ style of Muay Thai. I mean, the Thais love the way you fight. Where did you get that style, that identity? What made you?
Yeah, I think it comes back to what we were saying before about like the age that I started.
Yeah.
To be able to sort of develop that like skill and sort of understanding of Muay Thai. I've just had extra time in the sport compared to most foreigners. Even compared to some of the Thais, like a lot of them might have fought their whole lives, but a lot of them don't bother training. They just sort of like fight and then they jump out and then they fight again and they do whatever. But like I've done Muay Thai from 5 to 22 and I've always actively studied in that time as well. And actively fought too. So it's just offered me more chance to learn over that time, I think, and so it sort of gives me the opportunity to fight with the path of least resistance, like being Muay mat or Muay Khao is like a bit more like dangerous, so to speak. And like to me more unpleasant too. Like if I can avoid getting punched in the head, I can avoid getting caught. I can avoid gassing myself out in every single fight. Then I don't see why you wouldn't. You sort of minimise the risks, and that way I can maximise the amount of times that I win as well. You look at like your fighters with the highest win rate. At least when I was growing up, I would always watch like the Sanchais and things like that, and they would always have the most successful win rates. Nobody could beat them for like streaks of fights. And like for example, Kunsuklek now, who's now like 40 something and in the stadiums. Nobody can hit him. But if you're taking the risk of being hit a lot, then comes the risk of being knocked out or losing because of it too.
CTE comes in
as
well.
That too,
like if you have a look at boxing, Floyd Mayweather, and he doesn't get hit. Your influence is there, so Sanchai, and when you're growing up.
Yeah, certainly. When I was growing up in Muay Thai, I mean, everyone sort of skims Sanchai, Borkau, like all those fighters, right? But then I think, obviously, people who know me know that Sangmani is like one of my idols. I used to grow up watching him all the time. And then, so I would emulate his style a lot and that sort of thing. And then I feel like you do a full circle in Muay Thai. Like when you've been watching Muay Thai a really long time, you skim over Sanchai because he's super mainstream. You come back and you go, wow. Just how good he was is special. But I mean, as I got older, I would dive deeper. And so like Ole Kiat Wanway is like one of my favourite fighters as well, who was like a golden era. a lot of what Sanchai does is like a emulation of what Ole created.
Yeah.
Like the leaning back and
the lean backs are
the lean backs and the sweeps and things like that Ole was like the first to come up with some of that stuff, and so I idolise him a lot as well.
You're gearing up for the RWS tournament. But how does the format go? I mean, are you locked in for so many fights, and then is there a round robin and then finals, and just talk about the format?
So there's 8 people in it altogether. 2 groups of 4, and you round robin within your group A and Group B.
And these groups are obviously picked out of a hat?
I believe they're just picked by RWS, to be honest. So they decide the division. So you fight the other 3 people that are in your group. You get 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, and 0 for a loss. But if you knock somebody out in the first round, you get 3 bonus points. You knock somebody out in the second round, you get 2 bonus points. If you knock somebody out in the third round, you get 1 bonus point. So if you win by first round knockout, you get 6 points. But if you win on points, you get 3 points.
And then you accumulate points?
So at the end of the round robin, the top 2 from each group go through. The number 1 from Group A fights number 2 from Group B, and number 1 from Group B fights number 2 from Group A. So by coming first, you get a bit of an advantage to fight the second in the other group. And then those are the 2 semi-finals. The winner of those 2 fights then fight in the final.
Can you bet on this?
You can bet on it, but probably only on Thai websites.
I think I'll have a bet on you, mate. Have a couple of $1,000 baht on yourself. Your first opponent? Isn't he a Raja?
Yodachai, Yodachai has won pretty much everything there is to win in Muay Thai. So I believe he's previously he's the Rajadamnern Super Welterweight interim champion at the moment. I believe he's previously won Lumpini title. He was the WBC Super Welterweight World Champion as well. And I mean, Thailand champion. He was Sports Writer of the Year 1 year. He beat Sanchai Sagatdao and Pet Boon Chu all in the same year when he was 16. He's done it all. Big challenge.
Big challenge, the first fight. How's the prepping going? Obviously, you're going to be cutting weight pretty soon, and how's that going?
On track with everything as per usual. It's never pleasant. Like tonight, now is fine, but tonight we'll go and jump in the bath, get it all started. A bit of a waiting game between now and tonight when we start doing the actual water stuff. I mean, prep's been good. I've already fought twice this year in the last 2 months.
So you've fought on RWS before as well?
I fought. My last 2 fights have been on RWS. I fought in March and May. So
being very active.
So I fought just one month before the last one and 1 month before that again. So pretty much a month between each fight so far, and that will continue throughout the whole year more or less.
So you'll fight tonight. You'll fight Saturday night, and then when's the next fight after that? Do they give you?
So I believe it's actually it's August 3rd or August 6th. So it's July, August. So I actually get a longer break between this one and the next one, which is 7 weeks. I think 7 weeks, which will be nice. 7 weeks normally for the average fighter is a reasonably short break. But for this tournament, it's actually the longest break we'll get.
Are you looking forward to matching up with, or?
I mean, the whole thing is
8 of them, mate. 8 of the top welterweights in the world. 5 of the 8 people in the tournament either were or are a champion at this stadium. So the competition is tough, right? It's pretty tough division. People are calling it the hardest Muay Thai tournament in the last 30 years or something like that. So I'm excited to just be part of it. I dare say that if you are to make it to the final from Group B, which the one I'm in, you'll probably be fighting Talpao Kiao, who I believe is the favourite and just won the Rajadamnern title. Who's real tough, but I'd love to fight him because at the moment a lot of the Thais think he's unbeatable over 5 rounds. So if you were to fight him in the final, which is 5 rounds instead of 3, and beat him, that would be a special day, you know. So this is 3 rounds in the or in the round robin, and then as you go, is it
so the semi-final is still 3 rounds as well.
And the final is 5 rounds. Proper Muay Thai, mate. Proper stadium Muay Thai. Good luck
Thank you.
in the tournament. Good luck in the future of the sport. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on here on Striker Chat, brother.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
No worries, man. Thank you so much,
Cheers.
man. Woo! Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. That's it, bro.
Cool.
30 minutes. I'm going to start that.